All right, let us say hello to Chad Bronstein, one of the co-founders of Real American Freestyle, who pretty much stole the weekend in the combat sports world this past weekend with RAF 6 and everything that went down in Tempe, Arizona. It's good to see you again, Chad. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Mike, and I appreciate you. It's been great spending time with you at the last shows, and always your coverage is excellent on what for RAF. So I know the wrestling community appreciates it, and we appreciate it.
Well, I mean, a lot to discuss with you, obviously, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty in a moment. But first, it was a great show on Saturday. It was well-attended, sold out. There wasn't even a standing room only ticket to be found. In regards to that and seeing that crowd and how much they were into everything, when you and Izzy Martinez jetted away in that blue muscle car on Saturday night, how much did you and Izzy sort of nod and smile and reflect on how far you guys have come in such a short amount of time?
Well, I think there was some nodding and smiling, but also like a little bit of shock, right? It was a crazy night. It's like, you have a lot of wins and then you have some things you have to, fix each show. But I think I would say is like, I walked away obviously very, very excited and proud of what we built. I also thought, like I told SRK, Ben, like the post presser was great. You're seeing what I thought was cool about that is like how much media is now coming and covering what the wrestling community, which it hasn't been done yet. So I think there's a lot of different factors to that question of excitement and being proud and feeling like now we have a professional organization and we're being covered like one. And sold out was crazy. Yeah, I think that was we would ask for more and more seats to be opened up, and there was an extent where we couldn't open up a single seat, and we literally, and you were there, we literally sold out of every seat in that house.
Yeah, I know, because we were trying to find a place to do the interviews, and because there were so many people there, we couldn't find a spot until a couple minutes before the show, and it worked out great. But we got a little bit of everything on Saturday, but I want to start with the main event with Henry Cejudo and Uriah Faber. First off, shout out to Uriah Faber for doing such a great job at the press conference and bringing his A game to the promotional side. But Henry goes out and did what Henry does, and Uriah did his best, but as the song says, it just wasn't good enough. To see Henry back in his element like that, what was that like for you to watch as such a big wrestling fan?
It was amazing. I love Henry, and I love Uriah. They're both great guys. When we first started this, we called up Henry, trying to pitch him on wrestling, and he turned us down. And I think, he started to see the excitement, and he started to come into the company as like helping us out in the beginning as a content producer, like producing reels and stuff. And then, Henry's a really unique person because he's an Olympic gold medalist and he's a UFC champion. So he would be what, this league was created for, which is someone that has made an impact on two sports. And you don't know what he would have done if wrestling had a professional league at that time. He may have went and wrestled professionally or done both, but Henry's an incredible athlete, and he's an incredible, person and advocate for the sport and loves the sport. And so it was amazing to see him on the stage. And I thought Uriah did a good job too. Uriah had taken a match, within a month to train, and Uriah's a good wrestler. Like a lot of people, Henry would have teched a lot of people in the first period, and Uriah fought pretty hard. And I think they both did super. That was my favorite part of that press conference, was the two of them.
It was so good. And, you mentioned a few times you called Henry and he turned you down initially. And one of the words you said a few different times through different pieces of the press conference before and after was Henry was a naysayer of RAF. And what specifically did you mean by that? And what do you think was actually the turning point for him?
I just like to mess with Henry. Izzy and Henry were friends. They actually were, they were in Croatia, but no, Henry wasn't a naysayer. He just was watching, right? I would say like he loved it. He was tuning in. He was texting. He would call me and Izzy be like, that match was crazy. But he just didn't sign with us to wrestle. I think when he knew that his last fight was coming up at the UFC, he saw to see that opening of putting himself out there in the wrestling world. I think it's less hard on his body right now, and he can showcase his skills there. So I think that I just like to mess with him. We have a pretty good relationship. But I'm proud to have him on that stage. I think he's a phenomenal athlete, and I'm really excited about this Merab matchup. I would also say Henry's not afraid to wrestle anybody. Like his matches that would continue to go, like he has a goal to go up against the two-time Olympic gold medalist that he wants to wrestle at the say his last match possibly, but no, he's been great. Uriah was great. I want to see Uriah back on the mats. Like, I think Uriah, find Uriah another matchup, but Lance and him go way back. He used to coach Lance and Lance Palmer in the PFL, and Lance spent all his camps with Uriah.
Yeah, there's so many fun matchups you could do with Uriah, Cub Swanson, the old WEC feel, and you could do like TJ Dillashaw with like the back and forth those two guys would have. They would have a lot of fun. But you mentioned Merab, and that news came out during the week that he had signed and he would be headlining RAF 8, and of course he was there, and him and Henry had that face off. Was this always the plan for Merab? Like, show up and face off with Cejudo or Faber or whoever won the match on Saturday?
Yes. It was the plan. And Merab's such a good, like, he says he doesn't wrestle, but he's a very good wrestler. He's like, obviously, we all watch him in the UFC to see how many takedowns he puts up in a match. But Merab was excited about it. We FaceTime, me and Izzy FaceTime Merab and with someone in the second event we had. And I think, again, people are tuning in. I think they're seeing, they come to the shows and they have a lot of fun. Like, I wanted Merab there more so to get the environment right. Get him excited about what he's entering into, because I think that it's different and you can't really experience it unless you're there.
I would agree with that. And so I think we've waited long enough, Chad. Let's get into what everybody wants to hear about, what happened in the co-main event, because everyone on the planet has seen this moment by now, the chaos between Arman Tsarukyan and Georgio Poullas. And there's obviously the incident and a lot of questions that have not been answered, along with things that have been said by both guys. And I want to touch on all of that. Let's start with the moment, because things were very chippy. And I remember we were backstage, we were wrapping up with Aljamain Sterling after his win over Benson Henderson. And I went out there and my colleague Jose Youngs was already out there. And he was saying, dude, it's really chippy out there. And there's slaps and there's eye pokes and it looks like punches are being thrown. And I get out there for the third round and I saw the chippiness continuing. And after Arman got the debated takedown, and we'll get into that as well, Georgio looked like to throw a jab. And I remember saying to someone from your PR team down there, Arman might hit him. And then he did when the match ended. And obviously on Saturday, you didn't want to talk too much about it. But now that a few days have passed, as this moment happened, what was your reaction to it in the moment? And were you surprised with how that match was going, that it did happen?
I don't know if I was surprised, because it's a pretty aggressive matchup between the both of them, right? I think they both were extremely aggressive with each other. I was just reactive, right? When it happened, me and Izzy, if you watch the video, like Izzy, myself, my team, Lance Palmer, Claudio, the whole team was up there to break it up, right? Because we don't want fights happening and it's a family-friendly sport. So, we're trying to keep it that way. So we reacted very quickly to get on the stage to try to stop that as fast as possible, along with our security teams. But I think people were seeing the intensity of that match of two great competitors going hard against each other. And there was a lot of emotions. And I think that was the byproduct of what we were watching.
The clip has gone as viral as anything you'll see, not just for wrestling and RAF, but for combat sports. And I know on Saturday, and you sort of just reiterated it here, it's like, come on, man, there's kids and there's families here. We're growing this sport in a different way than the UFC or some of these other organizations. This is not what we're about. But at the same time, there is more attention on RAF now than ever. And look, you guys have been getting more popular by the month. How, for you, like, how tough is it, I guess, to toe the line of, hey, this is wrestling, not the UFC, not MMA, not pro wrestling, but also, hey, it's kind of tough not to embrace this attention we're getting right now?
No, we're embracing the attention. It's great. It's good attention. And I think that you still want to put protocols in place and just make sure that, it's good. If wrestling's, the best athletes in the world are competing against each other. If you don't think there's going to be aggression on that stage, of course there is. Like, you're putting the best wrestlers in the world against each other. So you're gonna have fireworks. I just want to make sure that we do a better job of just making sure that people don't get on the stage, right? It's fine to have fireworks on the stage between two competitors, but I just want to make sure we move away from the melees, right? So I think that it was great coverage. And again, like, I know both those guys now, I would say decently well by spending time with them. When people come to our Mike, you've been a part of it. When people get there on Wednesday, it's a lot of quality time you're spending with each person. And so I've gotten to know both of them pretty well. And I think they're both good guys, right? I just think it was a competitive matchup. And I think they both got frustrated, probably underestimating each other, and that's what we saw.
So time to correct the record a little bit, Chad, for a few of these, because some folks have said some different things. I was told on Saturday night, a couple of hours after the event, Arman Tsarukyan was the winner, and I hadn't heard otherwise. And then I was listening to Ariel's show yesterday as we record, and Giorgio saying RAF might throw it out, that Arman might end up getting disqualified. What can you tell us? Is this an official win for Arman Tsarukyan? Is it a DQ loss? Is it I don't even know if there is such a thing that exists in this world, but you're a new company. Is it a no contest? Like, what is the official ruling here?
What did Giorgio say on Ariel Helwani? I'll throw it back to you, because I heard, didn't he say that Arman won by points?
He said, like, because him and Ariel going back and forth, he goes, well, I guess technically if you want to say like he won by points, but he said RAF might, he had heard that RAF might throw it out and call it a disqualification.
Well, we can't call it a disqualification because it happened after the fact of the match, right? So we're still making that final decision, but I'll just go back to what Giorgio said on that on Ariel. He said he won by points, and the goal was there's going to be a rematch, right? So let's go back to that. Is like both of them went to Hype to try to put a match together, or a grappling match. I don't know if you saw the news yesterday that there's, which was frustrating to Izzy and I, right? Because we put that match on, and Arman didn't even know who Giorgio was when we came to him with the idea. So it's that match will happen back at RAF, pending Arman's approval of that. But Giorgio's on that, and I think that will settle it there.
Yeah, I was curious about that because, as you know, like it was Tuesday morning, Hype announces this submission only grappling match is happening. And I'm like, oh, that's a little weird. Didn't see this coming, but here we are, because they put out this teaser like, who should Arman grapple with? And we saw the options. I think Tony Ferguson was one of them, and then Giorgio was one of them. I was like, well, there's no way they're going to do Giorgio. And then we find out that it's happening, and then we find out less than 24 hours later it's not happening, and you guys want to do it on your mat, which I 100% agree with. How did we get?
Anyone can do whatever they want outside of the wrestling world. So like on our league, if you're wrestling our league, you wrestle just like it would be for UFC and anywhere else. Like if you're not going to go, if you're a UFC fighter, you're not fighting the PFL. If you're a wrestler, you're wrestling for our professional organization, but you can go do grappling, you can do the UFC, you can do anything. But in terms of the match, I don't think really anyone cared to see the two of them as a rematch in grappling. They cared to see the wrestling. They wanted to see them wrestle in RAF again. That's where it happened. That's where it should be finished.
Was this a Giorgio decision that he withdrew, and then you guys sort of reacted to the decision, or like how did we get to that point where we started Tuesday morning to where he ended up Tuesday night?
Listen, we have a really good relationship with Giorgio and his management team, Andy, who's the owner of Creators Inc. And we had a great conversation with them, and they talked to us about ideas and where we're headed. And I think that Giorgio's a wrestler, right? And so. I'll give Giorgio. I think Giorgio takes a lot of hate on us, and I think that we see it with Muggsy too, and guys like Caden. People are like, are these guys good wrestlers? They can wrestle, all of them. But Giorgio is a 3-time state champion from Ohio, and he is a good wrestler. So I think for his primary abilities are wrestling. So I think he'd rather stick it with wrestling and have his rematch with Arman.
Going back to the actual incident, you said on Saturday that before you really got into specifics of the moment, you wanted to view the tape. And I think you can certainly make a case that says like, yeah, both guys are wrong to a certain extent. But at the same time, this is a competition. You have two guys who are battling. And like you said, maybe one underestimated the other. But is there a finger to even be pointed here? Do you feel like one guy is more responsible for this than the other? You know what I mean? Like are we putting two fingers?
I'll go back to what I said. It's two incredible competitors got extremely aggressive with each other. And it was the heat of the moment. Now, do I think that I think it should have been ended at the whistle, right? That's what should have happened. But I think that there was a lot of provoking from both sides that led to the heat and the intensity. But it was a crazy match. Let's just say that.
It definitely was. One thing Giorgio also said on Ariel's show is essentially the only way Arman is allowed to compete for RAF again is if it's in a rematch with him. He said he was told this by the promotion, by RAF, that you guys are done with Arman unless this rematch happens. Is there any truth to that?
We're not done. I mean, when we talked to him after the match, we were deciding what, again, but it's like we went to the press. We didn't know how it was. Like, you're shocked at the moment. You had to watch the film and stuff like that. There's Arman, like I said, he comes and he performs at every event for us. We've never had an incident with him, and I think that was a unique incident due to the matchup and the aggressiveness in that matchup.
So there's no Arman banning, so to speak. Is there?
Arman,
was there
Arman
any?
has not been banned from RAF.
That's the question that everyone keeps asking now. Is he done unless this rematch happens? And I would be shocked if he didn't.
The rematch. To be frank, like the rematch, the next match is the rematch, right? That's the rematch. Like, we want I'm sure Giorgio framed it that way. We want Arman and Giorgio to be the rematch, obviously.
Yeah.
What was the close matchup? It was very, it was neck and neck. There was calls that, the refs made the calls, or they made the calls, right? And people are like, oh, the refs made mistakes, but the calls are the calls. And now we have to put another match. It was super close. I mean, got to give Giorgio credit. He had a clean takedown on Arman. It's like, Giorgio has a dangerous takedown. Like, he took him down cleanly, and it was right there. So it's like, and then the other takedown, Arman got 2 outside, and they questioned that, but Giorgio got 2 penalty points, and it was a neck and neck match.
Very important question.
There's not a clear enough winner not to want to see it again.
Oh, 100%. Like, this is the biggest match that can be made in wrestling right now. It's pretty wild that it's come to this after just 3 rounds, and obviously the skirmish after. But you're talking about takedowns. Very important question here, Chad, because you obviously are a big wrestling guy. You've said at press conference, Friday night, my friends are going out, but I'm home watching Big Ten wrestling. You watch a ton of it. You are in this world. You're embedded in it. And I've asked a lot of people since Saturday, a lot of wrestlers, wrestling coaches that I know, that I see at the gym. In the 3rd round, Arman gets Giorgio to the ground. In your world, in your mind, is that a takedown? Should Giorgio have to give Arman Tsarukyan $1,000, or is that money nestled safely in his bank account?
They didn't call it a takedown, did they?
I thought they did. Didn't they give him the 2? That's why he won?
I didn't think they called, because I think it was off the mat.
So they just gave him the 1.
I thought it was 1. I got to double check. I thought it was 1, or they give him 2.
I thought that was what won him the match, was that takedown. I don't know if it was tied, if he was down a point. I wasn't sure, but I thought by like the new rules, as long as the attempt of the takedown happens in play, then it counts. But I'm not sure how you see it. But like, taking the points aside, like, if you were the referee in that moment, would you have given him 2?
It's a tough question, because I wasn't the referee, and I want to respect the referees. I'm not, because the referees our refs were the first people to react on that stage when that situation is. I can't go against our refs that we have, because they're part of our organization. They've been good to us. So I respectfully decline that answer.
Totally understandable. I had to try. Have you guys spoken with Arman at all since Saturday, whether about the incident or about booking this rematch?
Yeah, I've talked to Arman. Arman has a manager that I deal with named Sweet. He and I have a good relationship. And yeah, we've had conversations, and we're in current conversations with him.
Is he feeling good based on your conversations about doing this rematch?
I mean, Arman's a competitor. And I have nothing but respect for Arman. I think that Arman will take the matchup. I didn't really like but Izzy and I did not like the play of the finding out on the morning that there was another like rematch. Thought that was ridiculous. Like, you take why you just wrestled? Let's be frank. Like, Arman's had some good virality from RAF. So has Giorgio, right? Neither one of them would have ever thought about that matchup, period. So obviously we want that. That's a great. It's a great opportunity to put that match back on RAF. After that, go grapple and do all the other stuff you want.
If you book this rematch, will you have any sort of stipulations in place that if this happens again, this happens, that happens, this punishment or penalty happens? I think we'll just make sure like it's the area is secure, right? And I don't think they're going to do that the second time. I think it's going to be a good, clean match. And again, I think they both respect each other at the end of the day as competitors, and
they're both good social media, as good as athletes are, they're also very good social media influencers and promoters. So I think that, I think we'll make sure that it will be, try not to make sure that incident happens. That's clean wrestling. I think that the fight was good for wrestling in general. But if you want me to say, it's like the key for what we're trying to accomplish as an organization is to bring eyeballs to wrestling, right? And to make wrestling fun for the non-wrestling purists. And I think that when we build in these cards, Izzy as the head matchmaker, et cetera, building these cards, and Ben Askren, Lance Palmer, and Willie Saylor and myself, like it's to create different thoughts on the card. Olympic Gibby versus Steve Buchanan, right? Or you see David Carr versus Bubba Jenkins. Like you're not going to see that. Like and Bubba Jenkins still being an NCAA champion, right? So Muggsy versus Clay Guida, right? There's always Evan Wick, right? Like Evan Wick showed up. Like that was Kadik's an amazing wrestler, but like Kevin Wick. So they're seeing the top tier wrestling and then some really unique matchups that you wouldn't see, and that's really bringing the eyeballs to the sport.
If all goes well here, and we get both sides in based on the initial conversations, true or false, this rematch happens within the next 90 days?
True.
True or false, this happens in the next 60 days?
True.
True or false, it happens this month?
I don't know.
I mean, we're just.
I'll say this because we're gonna have some cool announcements coming out about both the March 28th card and the April 18th card. Like, what's really cool is like the community of like the different types of opportunities and personalities that want to come in the league. There's so much cool matchups we can create, right? And I think that Ben would say this too from SRK, and like we have a culture, and Mike, you kind of feel it, but like I feel like our culture is special when you're at our events, and like people come and they spend like Jermaine Sterling, right, coming there, and Uriah coming there. Henry's come to events and he knows, right? But the new people that are coming, like I think they feel like the addiction of like that energy that's being created. It's like it's a little bit different than when you go to that fan zone. Like then you start. I like to think that people that may start fights, they go to that fan zone and they see the responsibility that around those how many kids that are showing up and that stuff. I think that it creates that. Wait, we have a special responsibility here because we're being a lot of the people that are showing up are kids.
Yeah, it's definitely a different vibe. Even talking like Aljo about it, it's just like, yeah, it's competitive and I want to win, but I feel like a little bit of the pressure is off, right? It's more of like I feel a little more free there. And I think you probably noticed that as well. And probably have heard from the UFC fighters who compete on the card. Like it's just a different vibe for these guys.
Yeah. So I think that's what I'm seeing on that side. So yeah, I think that you'll see a rematch. I'm pretty certain of that. And I think you're gonna see some really cool matchups that will also drive a lot of excitement to the space.
I know obviously the Arman Giorgio moment is the moment everybody's talking about, but there were obviously other great moments on Saturday. To me, the standout moment outside of that was Muggsy. Like him going out there and beating Clay and just seeing how he reacted after the fact. And then his post-fight interview we did in the back with him, like he was calling it like the greatest moment of his life. Just some of the stuff he's been through and then being able to go in there, and we saw Clay Guida bleed in a wrestling match, which surprised absolutely nobody. But it, like looking back on this card, if there's like one particular moment that stands out to you more than most that might be flying under the radar, is it Muggsy or is it something else?
I think there's a few of them, right? I thought that one, I think Clay Guida is the ultimate competitor, right? You can't even say people, you can hate on Clay or give him stuff like shit for, but that he shot every time, and he didn't, I would say freestyle. He's learning the freestyle rules, but that matchup was great. And I thought Muggsy, people hate on Muggsy. Muggsy trains all the time. He takes it seriously, and he's showing that he's getting better at wrestling. And I think Muggsy, we get to work with Muggsy on every show, and he's an incredible asset and promoter for the sport of wrestling. And he does very good things for the sport. And I thought that match was great. I thought the audience was going nuts for it. I mean, you see that happen all the time. And you saw Caden versus Muggsy happen early in our season. Like the crowd goes crazy for these guys because they all know who they are. So it's they're all good wrestlers. So I thought that was a great matchup. I thought the Evan Wick Kadik matchup, I keep going back to that, but that was an amazing. I mean, the two, you got performance tonight and match tonight, but Evan Wick versus Kadik, and Kadik's unbelievable wrestler and great in our organization. But Evan showed up. He's hard. He's difficult to wrestle. He's super long, and you can never count him out. And then I also thought Gibby versus Buchanan was an unbelievable matchup too. It's the first time we saw Gibby on our stage, and Buchanan has only been doing freestyle wrestling for a year and beating the best of the best. And he was right there with another one of the best of the best. I think that was a great matchup too.
Yeah, Muggsy, like how valuable is he to your promotion? What a man. He wore so many hats on Saturday. He wrestles, he wins, he does the emotional interview, and then he's out hyping up the crowd, and then he's out breaking up fights. Like this guy did everything on Saturday.
Muggsy's a very good friend of RAF, and he's been a part of RAF really since day one, So it's Caden, everyone that's part of our organization, I feel really wants it to win, right? Because we have an obligation to make sure that this doesn't fail for the wrestling organization, for the wrestling world, right? I think the responsibility we have to make sure the kids get to look up to their idols and they come and see them all the time. And it's my son being one of them. It's amazing to see.
Of course, you mentioned March 28th. That's the next event. You're pretty much in Hulk Hogan's old backyard, Tampa, Florida, not too far from Clearwater, and where all the Hogan's Beef Shop restaurants and stores are. Like you are right smack dab in Hogan country. And of course, Colby Covington has told everybody, told me, I'm going to be there and I'm headlining. So this is obviously the case, correct?
Yeah, well, it's the case as we find the matchup for Colby, right? Colby. If we find the right matchup for Colby will be there and headlining.
Do we have a list, or how many people are we talking to here? You don't have to list names because I know you want to save that for the big announcement. But
there's a good list of people. Listen, Colby Covington, who doesn't want to wrestle Colby? He's a great, when you're going up against Colby, one, he's a great competitor, but he's also he's going to promote the hell out of it. There's a lot of people that want to wrestle Colby. It's just finding the right matchup.
Well, it's very exciting. Colby also told me that if he does compete on that card, that George St. Pierre has been invited there as well to check it all out. Can you tell us anything about that?
Well, yeah, we've invited GSP to come to the events when he can. So hoping that he comes to either Tampa or Philly.
Nice. When can we expect these big announcements, Chad? That
any minute.
Any minute?
No, not even. I'm just kidding. In the next, next few days, hopefully next couple weeks, but it's coming.
Yeah, I thought you were going to break some news here. What a moment that would have been. Anything you want to share for the peeps?
No, I think right now, just watch what's happening over the next few days. And I will say, Mike, appreciate everything you do for us and all your coverage, because you've been coming up to all events, and I'm glad you get to experience it, and you're great at what you do. So I appreciate that.